Hey everybody, so this week's question is, who gets to determine if they're a prophet or not? We looked at some of the prophets from the Old Testament. We talked about some prophets in our day today, Martin Luther King Jr. being our example. Who gets to decide, though, if you get the word prophet after your name? Well, it's a really good question, and I don't know that I necessarily have the definitive answer. When I think about it, when I look at it, it sure seems three things seem to be true. Number one, in order to be a prophet, you need to be called by God to be that prophet. That's what we see time and time again throughout the Bible. These people that were called specifically by God to speak to God's people for a certain time and a certain place. That's number one. But number two, I think we've all heard people that have said they've been called by God. Does that mean they really were? Well, yeah, you need number two. You need some acknowledgement from other people. The reality is, if you're just a voice shouting in the wilderness and no one is listening, I'm not really sure you're the prophet that you think you are. No, the weird thing about prophets is that somehow, without influence, without power, without authority, it's very clear that they do have a message from God. It's why so many people went out to John the Baptist out of the Jordan River. No one should have been out there, and yet that's exactly what was happening. Everybody was going out to see him. There was an acknowledgement that what he was saying wasn't just him, it was coming from God. And that leads to step number three. Sometimes we see that people that have a voice and get a lot of acknowledgement, even in our day today on TikTok, on all kinds of other things. Does that mean they're a prophet? Well, not necessarily. Sadly, the worst thing that we have to really wait on from a prophet standpoint is time. We don't really know if people are a prophet or not until we've seen if what they said actually happened. That's what we've got from the Bible. We can see these things that these people said and how it came true. We can see the words that Martin Luther King Jr. talked about and how that has now been lived out in our nation today. There are a lot of loud voices in our day today proclaiming all kinds of doom and gloom, joys and impossible things, at least seemingly impossible, that are going to happen. How will we know who's really speaking for God? Well, if they were called by God, if their calling is being acknowledged by others, and if over time it really proves to be true, that's probably the best way that we're going to figure it out. Is that an easy answer? Nope, but being a prophet isn't easy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.